Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Udomiaye E, and I'm presenting this paper on behalf of Eze Osondo, Kalu Cheche Kalu, and Aminu Aman Haliru. The title of our paper presentation is Environmental Sustainability for Infection Prevention and Control in the Healthcare Facility. The presentation will be in the four outline: introduction, material and methods, result and discussion, and we'll conclude by making some recommendations. By way of introduction, sustainable environment is that environment that enhances the well-being and coexistence of inorganic elements, living organisms, and humans that make up the ecosystem. Now, healthcare settings and hospital-associated infections are highly influenced by three main factors. 1, the host factor; 2, the agent factor; and 3, the environmental factor. The emergence of the novel coronavirus, increase in microbial resistance, quest for more ventilators, personal protective equipment, and of course, the extensive behavioral change as expected by the Center for Disease Control with regard to the present pandemic have made it imperative to appraise the link between the sustainable built environment and infection control. Thus, the aim of the paper is to identify the nexus between a sustainable built environment and infection control in healthcare facilities with the view of developing guidelines and highlighting the role of architecture in curbing the pandemic. Material and method. The research relies extensively on existing literatures, visits to healthcare centers, and interaction with healthcare workers. In the paper review, the study classified the evolution of environmental design and infection into three categories: the pre-modern, modern, and contemporary. From the review, the study found that there are many key players that influence the evolution. Top among them is Dr. Teno, who introduced pavilion plan and stressed on the need to have isolation unit for peculiar disease in 1854. Another another personality that influenced the design or the environmental design is Florence Nightingale, who stressed on the need for ventilation, circulation within the patient, good lighting, and hygiene in 1853 to 1856. As a result of her discovery of the link between environmental space factors and patient healing, death rate among soldiers that were involved in the Crimean War were drastically reduced from 42% to less than 3%. The photograph in the screen shows us the typical pavilion plan of a hospital ward as made popular by Florence Nightingale. Now, to understand the relationship between infectious disease transmission and healthcare environment, it is imperative for us to take a closer look at the mode of infectious disease transmission within the healthcare environment. Transmission of microorganisms in healthcare facilities are through several routes, and the same microorganism can be transmitted by more than one route or with more than one route. Basically, there are three main modes of transmission of diseases within the healthcare environment. Number 1 is the airborne and droplet. Number 2 is contact or surface. Number 3 is waterborne transmission. It is important to know that built environments such as homes, offices, schools, workplaces, hospitals, and transport terminals have potentially harmful pollutants. Result and discussion. From this paper that were reviewed, the study established that natural daylight and cross ventilation are significant components to disinfect and lessen the infections occurrence in hospitals. And in other words, natural daylight and cross ventilation could be a panacea for the control of the spread of coronavirus in the present pandemic. The study also found that the rate of survival of coronavirus on building material surfaces varies from one material to the other. For instance, while coronavirus survives for up to 120 hours on the surface of ceramic, metals, and glass, coronavirus can only survive for 4 hours on copper surface, and why can coronavirus can only survive for 8 hours on aluminum surface. Therefore, it is important to have this basic idea on how building materials respond to bacteria or microbacteria. The study also found that droplets do not remain suspended in the air, but travel only a short distance at about distance of about 1 meter before settling on surfaces. Also, for ventilation to be adequately enough to inhibit the spread of microbacteria, the ventilation rate must not be less than 12 ACH. Based on the finding, therefore, the study therefore suggests the following as a design strategies for infection prevention and control within the built environment. Number one, design for safe distancing. Based on the studies of the behavioral pattern of droplets not being able to travel more than 1 meter, but within 1 meter, the study therefore suggests that enough space should be provided in the hospital environment, especially the lobbies and the corridor, to guarantee the safe distance of not less than 1 meter. This study therefore proposed that corridors in the hospital should not be less than 2.6 meters. Number two, designed to enhance natural ventilation. Since it has been established that ventilation, enough ventilation within the hospital environment can inhibit the spread of infectious disease, this study therefore encouraged that natural ventilation should be designed into our structures, especially by the use of open-ended corridors and introduction of courtyard, functional courtyard. Number three, designed to enhance daylight or sunlight. Study reviews show that sunlight was a major antibacterial agent in the pre-antibacterial era. So the study therefore suggests that based on this present happening, design of healthcare centers should be oriented in such a way that more light will be into the environment. Number four, design with adaptive finishing material. It is therefore important that when designing a healthcare center or healthcare environment, building materials that can act as antimicrobial agents are encouraged to be used, such as copper and aluminum, that have where it was proven that coronavirus, for instance, stays within a shorter period, because you cannot really guarantee this idea of cleaning and mopping after use. Number five, design hospitals to be flexible with the sustainability fixtures. This is to enable the hospital to easily adapt in case of any epidemic or pandemic. Conclusion: the paper survey historical and contemporary proof supporting the influence of key design strategies, natural ventilation, daylight, and antimicrobial building materials in decreasing the threat of infection in healthcare facilities. Design strategies can play a significant role in infection prevention and control. And with the present effort to contain with coronavirus outbreak, it has become necessary that a multidisciplinary approach be adopted. It also proposes that architects, engineers, allied professionals directly involved in designing, constructing, and maintenance of healthcare facilities should be given a form of training in public health. By doing so, these professionals will be conscious of the implication of their decisions when it comes to healthcare facility design, because the architects are responsible for building material specification. So there's need for him to be aware of the implications of his decision with regard to healthcare delivery. Thank you for listening.